Hello, and welcome to our tutorial series for working with Finesse Gadget Designer. In this tutorial, we're going to demonstrate how to use radio buttons in your project. After completing this tutorial, you'll be able to use radio buttons just like we have here in our demo project. For our demo, we first drag 4 radio button components and 2 label components onto our frame that we've already placed on the canvas. With these 4 radio buttons and 2 label components, we're going to create a window where we can choose our card type, either a debit card or a credit card, and our accounts type, which we'll be able to use the savings account or the current account. Our first step for this is to go to the designer window, drag our 2 labels into place, and change the text over here on the properties window to choose card type, and the other label to account type. For our card type, we have 2 types of cards with 2 corresponding radio buttons. So we select the first radio button and change its label to credit card as well as its component ID. Then select the second radio button and change its label to debit card, and of course, change the component ID as well. The third and fourth radio buttons are going to correspond to our account type. So we select the first of these and change the label to savings account, again changing the component ID to match. And for the fourth radio button, we'll change the label to current account, as well as the component ID. Now that we have all of our components labeled, we'll go ahead and align all of these to clean up how this is going to look. When we're dealing with the radio buttons here, we know that we want the user to only be able to select one or another, and not both at the same time. So that means we want the first 2 radio buttons to be connected so that you either choose credit or debit. And similarly, we want the second 2 radio buttons to be paired in the same way. If you go back to the output, we're currently able to select both radio buttons of each pair, and that's not correct. So let's demonstrate how to avoid that so you're picking one or the other. The way we accomplish this in Finesse Gadget Designer is by putting each pair of radio buttons into a radio group. We do this by going to the Properties window and scrolling down to the Advanced tab to create a radio group for this. We'll name our first radio group as Card Type and click Add. Then we'll also create another group called Account Type and again click Add. Now, when we click on the drop-down arrow next to the radio group, we see our 2 newly created radio groups. So now we have to add our radio buttons to their particular group, which will only allow one radio button to be selected from each group. So we'll select the credit radio button and add it to the card type group, and we'll do the same thing with the debit radio button. And then we'll select the savings account radio button and add it to the account type. And then do the same thing for the current account radio button. So let's publish our project by clicking Publish in the upper right corner and verify that our groups are working. After we refresh the page, we see that we can select Credit Card, but when we click over here at Debit Card, the credit radio button gets automatically deselected, so you can only select one of them at a time. Similarly, we're only able to select one of the radio buttons in the Account Type section. We can also change the look and feel of our radio buttons, which we can do by going over the Property Styles tab. There are many customizable properties, like the text color, where we can change the color for all our radio buttons, which for this demo I'll make them blue. You can also change the size of the font style, and family, which can all be set from the Style tab. These 2 options here, the radio selection color and the radio over color, are state-related color options. Whenever I select the radio button, I want the color of the button to change to red for all 4 of my radio buttons. The radio over color will change the color when we mouse over our radio button. We can also customize our radio color as well. We'll change our radio color to a light blue. Once we publish and refresh our window to verify our changes, we see that one of our radio buttons has an increased font size. When we select up here, it changes to red. And if you notice down here, we set our radio button to blue. And that is how we can use and set up radio buttons in Finesse Gadget Designer. As always, thank you for watching.